So what's the point in doing all this work? What are the benefits to the business? What have we actually gained from this, etc.? Well, it's quite a lot in this case. What we've been able to do is avoid siting development conflicts, okay? So prior to this system, a lot of the projects at Sellafield worked in silos and they weren't aware of what else was going on around them. Using this system, what they can immediately do is sort of see what's happening adjacent to a particular plant, etc. And what we found is this actually reduces the overall cost of the project. Whereas the project would have had to have gone out and done various desktop studies to understand what's happening, they can use a mapping application to quickly analyse what's going on the site through time. That's a biggie for us. It helps display and explain a complex problem to lots and lots of different people. Internally, it's been very useful for talking to engineering department about how their project might affect another project. At a higher level than that, senior managers and executive have used these maps to actually tell local planners about what Sellafield's development plans are and things like this. So it's massively massively important. This one of the hard bits actually is putting a value on that type of thing. So what's the value of actually showing somebody more clearly the development of Sellafield? How do you value that? That reassurance, perhaps, that you're giving your regulators that you're planning the site correctly. What we've tried to do is adopt an approach for information management at Sellafield whilst we're doing this. And that is a create once and use many ethos. We've been able to do this with some success, but there still does exist certain silos within the company where people aren't necessarily coming together with us and sharing their information. So that's one area that we still need to work on. This one here is a really big one as well. This initial use of the technology has helped people to realise what they could have in their area of work. For example, when we showed this to the emergency planning and response team at Sellafield, they'd never seen anything like it before, and they said, how could we adapt this technology so that we could plan an evacuation of the site in case there's a flood at Cockermouth, for example, which there was last year. How can we quickly tell who lives north of the River Derwent in Workington, because those people aren't going to be able to get to work on time, and potentially they're not going to be able to fulfil their operations on site. We believe that there's going to be, this technology could bring multi-million-pound savings to the business at Sellafield. In addition to those benefits, there's also been a number of what we've classed as unplanned spin-offs to this work. At the moment, there's some work going on in you've probably read about it, but there's several new nuclear sites being looked at across the country. One of those sites is just north of the Sellafield site, and when NDA, the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority, were looking at their site, we were able to use our technology to very quickly explain to them what's going on at Sellafield and how Sellafield is going to develop over time. And that was very useful for them in deciding whether that was going to be a useful site for the new build and the new nuclear reactor. Another one, I don't know too much about this one actually, but I'm told that it has been used to support our property and rates team when they're in discussions with the Inland Revenue. I mentioned this one before. We've created, off the back of this work, a spatial data repository for the whole company. This has been used in lots of different areas just so that people can gain a better understanding of the site and start using the data for their own purposes and applications. As I mentioned before, the solution is welcomed by our regulators and stakeholders. So the three there are the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority, the Nuclear Inspectorate, something or other, that's our regulator, and the Environment Agency. At the Esri Awards this year, we won first prize for innovation in the private sector. This one came a bit left of field for us because we didn't really think that we'd done anything too groundbreaking. It was just coming up with a solution to a problem, but for some reason it's caught some attention. And also, we're also planning to present this. We have an internal Business Excellence Awards at Sellafield, and this so far has gained an excellent status. And we're hoping that it will go all the way and actually win an award. There's a lot left to do though. We've got to now develop a live version of the system. So currently all the data that goes into it is snapshots in time. So we actually want to hook this up in real time to our planning systems. We want to increase the user access by delivering this over a web-based interface. We want to further integrate this within infrastructure. One thing we haven't done with GIS technology yet is use it for utilities, asset management, and operational type of things. So that's an area that now we've shown some of the benefits we want to now move into. And I know Clive's giving a talk from Northumbria Water on this, and after this session I'm hoping to pick his brains on some of the ways they've been using the technology. We also want to be able to improve the analysis for complex construction and decommission activities. Now, what I mean by that is currently you just saw a plan of individual buildings, but whenever there's some construction work going on, there's more than just the building footprint to consider. So you might have lay-down areas, you might have porter cabins, you might have exits, entrances, and that sort of thing. And currently we don't go down to that level of detail. Also internals to buildings as well, that's on the cards as well. And probably the most important one for me is we want to promote a common information management strategy for the company. So this business of us storing data in different areas of the business is addressed, and we can actually all benefit from sharing information. Okay, I've got to get off now, but I'll take any questions very quickly now, if that's okay. Thanks.
John Robinson from Newcastle City Council. Have you looked at mapping the underground services in any detail yet, or is that just on the wish list for the future? I know it's nationally it's a problem that some Manchester or some university looking into.
Yeah, I know there's quite a lot of work externally going on, isn't there? There used to be a thing called the National Underground Assets Group or something. Yeah, I mean, point to note with Sellafield is we're our own mapping agency, so all of the data that we have on site has been created internally. And most of the records we hold are in CAD format, so they're the original design drawings, and that's what we use. But there is movement afoot to basically transfer some of that CAD data into GIS, and with that would come the underground stuff as well. The funny thing about Sellafield site is the underground is a big unknown actually. We have a team called Land Quality who are doing things like drilling boreholes and putting in inspection wells to actually further understand the ground that sits below Sellafield, because there's a lot of stuff that's gone on over the 50 years of existence that is completely unknown. It used to be a bomb making factory for a kick-off, so there's a land, I think it's land characterisation team who are looking into all of that, and that would include the positioning of the underground assets as well.
I think the project's been referred to as Vista, mapping the underworld, which was run out of Leeds University, and it's a DTI technology program.
Right.
But I don't know what the results are.
Yeah.
I suspect inconclusive.
Yes.
It's
From
okay,
what,
isn't it? It is.
from what I gather, it's a bit of a grey. I mean, before anyone puts a drill in the ground or a spade in the ground at Sellafield, we have to conduct. There's quite a detailed process that they have to go through, which involves ground penetrating radar analysis and that sort of thing. So, yeah, there's quite heavy regulation on. Before you can do construction work, the various analyses. One of our challenges actually is making sure that this data isn't misused, so that people don't start drilling in the ground based on data from, say, an old CAD drawing and that type of thing. And that's a biggie for us. And that's where the control of the system is vital. Another big one for us is the security aspect of the data as well. A lot of this data is classed as restricted, so we can't just be sending it all over the company. There's the data that's at restricted level is on a need-to-know basis, so there's restrictions and red tape preventing us from developing this based on